Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. I am your host. I'm the purveyor of all things dorky within the scope of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. I am Grumm. That's I'm a little flushed. I've had to do this intro 2 or 6 times now. My software is being funky and closing every time I try to make an edit to it, so I just been redoing everything. I had this long 4 or 5 minute intro talking about what I want to do with my content, why I've enjoyed doing this stuff and whatnot. But here's this short version of it. Phase 1 of Dork Side of the Ring is coming to an end. It means Phase 2 is to start, and Phase 2 is there's going to be a video format. I've been doing a lot of these because a lot of my friends that are on this aren't necessarily content creators. Some are. Some absolutely are. Everybody has a camera, but not everybody is comfortable, being on camera for 2 hours, and not everybody is a content creator. So not everybody has a setup where it's like, oh, I have the lighting, the microphone, the boom arm, all that stuff. Nice, cool. That's okay, though, right? But I want to get them comfortable in being on the podcast and doing it so if they do want to be on the podcast, they don't feel like they have to have camera and everything. So that is all to say, soon video podcasts will be coming out, which means they'll be going up on a YouTube, either probably mine, but maybe not mine, who knows, but also I think Spotify now does video podcasts, so that'll be cool, right? And they'll be on the Patreon, support.grumm.tv. Speaking of Spotify, Spotify has a rating system, if you didn't know that. It's really cool now. So you go to the Spotify, leave a 5-star review, help us out there, help us tell the people that it's a good podcast, a 5-star podcast. If you're, to quote Beaumont and Jones, if you give us less than 5 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. So I appreciate that. But no, it's also just keep doing what you're doing. Support us where you can. Tell your friends about us. Tell us all the fun stuff. Speaking of friends, we got Aurorn and Shaunningham, 2 friends from Twitch.tv, from Twitch to be on and have a nice, fun conversation about the Dominick Mysterio custody of Dominick ladder match from Summerslam 2005. Fun little tidbit. This is the first time Aurorn and Shaunningham have hung out. I thought because we were all in the same group that they've at least, tangentially hung out and whatnot. No, first time, so that was pretty cool. I think we talked about it on the podcast, too. But yeah, that's all I got for now. Let's get to the podcast. Me, Aurorn, and Shaunningham talking about the custody of Dominick Mysterio ladder match from SummerSlam 2005. It's a good one. It's a great one. Right here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. All right. We're good. We're good to go. Everybody's wait. So you think? So Aurorn, you think you're as sexy as Shawn Michaels and Lex Luger with the male pattern baldness?
Yes.
Like to match those two?
Yes.
I mean, who am I going to disagree? I'm not going to disagree with you. You're a stud. What do you think, Shawnee? Think Aurorn's a stud?
Absolutely.
Looks like the narcissist. Or we're talking about like narcissist, like Lex Luger, like his like torso, and then like just with like Shawn Michaels like personality, right? Like his charisma. That's where you're going with this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
I was hoping.
I think he had the best body. I don't know who had the best body in wrestling.
I'll be honest. There were two names that I didn't understand, so I just nodded and agreed.
Exactly. This is good. We're here on the Dork Side of the Ring with my pals here, and I don't think I've had a further. I always like to take note of the alphabetical names I've got, and I don't think I've had any farther distance between 2 names alphabetically than our guest today. We have my friend from across the pond, Aurorn.
Yeah, hello.
And we have Shaunningham.
Hi.
Who's not across the pond.
No, I am not.
I think you're just across a couple of state lines.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think
smack
so.
dab in the middle now.
Yeah. So only a couple of state lines. Only.
Aren't you technically T-Grumm? So technically yours.
Yeah, that's
yours
why.
Is farther than mine.
Well, so. yeah, but that's why I'm the host. So you guys are the guests. So between you two.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think that's I looked at it the other day. I'm like, yeah, wow. because like technically, Atomic Bear is the Atomic Bear, so I couldn't do Atomic Bear.
Oh, that's true.
And honestly, the other other buttons in Atomic Bear, like at one time, other buttons was the other buttons, so like they were like the same. I think they have technically the record for like closest initials as guests, which is very interesting when you really think about it. But we're not here. We don't take note of that further than this on the Dork Side of the Ring. We're here to talk specifically about dumb shit in wrestling. But before we get to that, I like to give my guests, my buds, my pals, my friends, the chance to introduce themselves properly to the audience. So we'll start alphabetically. Aurorn, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself, where they can find you, what things you do, things you got that are important to you and whatnot. And the floor is yours.
My name's Aurorn. I'm from the UK. You cannot tell by my annoying accent. You can find me pretty much any social media at Aurorn, or on Twitter, Sampron. I do not know why it's named that. I don't know.
Big fan of the prawn.
Apparently so. Apparently when I was 2008, I made myself Sampron. I love games. That's where I met Grumm from. I met him through watching our mutual friends of like Citra and Rob, a few other people, and that's pretty much it. I don't really know much about myself. I don't.
Wake up in the morning, just stare stare at the mirror.
It's like Memento. I have to write down things on my body.
It's like, you are Aurorn. Sam, Buddy's your dog.
Yeah, Buddy's my dog.
Like, don't forget to breathe. And then underneath that, breathe in, breathe out. Oxygen.
You have to do both.
Like, it's just like furthering the notes as he learns what that actually means.
Food in fridge, you need to eat.
Yes.
I've got the video, like the how to breathe video on YouTube, just permanently tattooed on my body.
Pink meat equals bad. Green meat equals bad also.
I mean, yeah. I think I can get that.
Yeah, well, you'll figure it out after you eat it all. But yeah, that's just, I don't know myself, so I don't know how to tell. That's fine. That's fine. Look, there's one thing I've learned, that the international guests are far more humble than the American guests I've had. It's just like, yeah, no, I do this, and that's about it. And it's like, anything else? Oh yeah, I guess I stream, or I create content, or I do this, I work in this. It's like, okay, there we go. I had to pull that out of you. All right. Whereas the American,
what the Americans like?
The Americans are like, yeah, here's all my shit. Follow me all the. This is what I do. My bank account number is blah 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 blah. You can wire it directly into my bank account. Also, I do this. You can find me on the corner selling whatever. Like, it's just like, this is great. It's cool. Like,
I mean, I can I'm moving to Canada soon.
Hey, all right.
So hopefully, I'll be.
That's another
bit
one.
More A.
Another one to have
in the boot.
In the boot. Yeah. Where are you going? You're going to, Ontario, right?
Ontario, Montreal.
Nice.
So I've got to learn French.
Oy.
Yeah.
That's not me doing a French accent. That's me going,
yeah, exactly. A British person learning French is kind of like...
That's blasphemy.
It pretty much is.
You can never go back home. They're going to be like, wait a second. I smell the French on you. You know the French bastards? Like, yeah.
I smell baguette.
You're disowned just because you learn French. There's far worse ways to be, but being disowned because you speak French is that's rough. Even though it's not at all what's actually going to happen, the joke of it happening is funny.
Just imagining coming back and being like, I'll take wine instead of beer. It's just kind of like sacrilege.
Yeah, you know what? I don't like this warm room temperature beer. Can you get me some chilled Chardonnay? And then, what you on, mate?
When I went to Canada, like the biggest thing that fucked me over was like I was like thinking, oh, I need a beer, I need an ale, real ale, and I found one, and it was like, oh, this is really nice. It was like 7%, and I was like, fucking hell. And she's like, that's kind of weak, and I'm like, that's weak. Like beer here, most beers have to be like under like 6% or under 5%, because if it's over that, we have to pay more money for it. You get taxed for having it more expensive because alcohol.
Yep.
And it's just like, I had like 1 or 2 of these beers, and I was really like on the floor. I could see, why they reduced it.
Yeah, like it's just like I drink. I tend to drink like around there 4 or 5%, like just lagers. I'll go the occasional like something a little heavier, but nothing too. I don't do IPAs and stuff like that. So for me, it's just like, I'm not like, I'll drink a couple beers and I'll be good to go. I don't need to get entirely hammered because I'm drinking, a 14% beer, like that was handcrafted and made in a laboratory. And the ingredients were created from a farm that's located in an entirely different country. Like the science of it and just, like the culture, it's fine. Look, some of them taste delicious. Some people take it far too serious.
So basically, you're not me a Citra.
Correct. Yes. I was going. Look, you said it, not me. But yes. But no, like it's just like sometimes it's just there's some people who are just like the way that they're into it is too much. Whereas like you can be into anything. But it's just like, no, you have to try beer like this. If you're drinking beer if you're drinking this kind of beer, that's not beer. That's disgusting alcoholic water. And it's like,
yeah, I think that's the difference.
It all is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
my drinking is you give me a wine cooler and I will sip on it the entire night.
Good wine cooler.
Well, let's get a little bit more about you there, Shaunningham. A little bit about yourself, where people can find you, what you do, what things you work on, causes that mean a lot to you and whatnot. Floor is yours.
Sure, yeah. As the far less humble American guest, please stand aside for my greatness as I tell you about myself.
Bloody Americans.
My name's Sean. I'm on the internet as Shaunningham, because I just took my first and last name and crammed them together because I'm very creative. I'm an animator. So I do some of that on the computers, and I do some of the Twitch, and I live in my room forever. So yeah.
Sometimes the dream, sometimes the nightmare. Depends on the room. When
all of this happened the past couple of years, my life didn't change a lot. I just couldn't go to the movies anymore.
Yeah, you're like, fuck, I can't go to the movies. But the movies are now here, so I don't have to go anywhere anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If anything,
my life has been completely automated. You just sit here and animate,
now
stream.
Everybody delivers.
It's great. I don't have to worry. I don't have to go out ever. Like I don't. Human context at a 0. Dream. Let's go.
The best part was when you did go out, no one was out.
That's true. Yeah, people were just gone. No, we wish people were gone.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, can we not all be in the same spot that doesn't need to be here? Like I need to be here right now. You don't. Like.
Yeah.
I just need to get the worst thing I've ever heard. The thing I've hated the most over the last 2 years is where'd you go? I had to get out, so I had to go outside, so I went here. Why'd you go to a concert? The fuck? Like
yeah, I had to. You don't understand.
I had to.
I would have died if I hadn't gone to that concert.
If I didn't go to the Wiggles, I would have died. If I didn't see the Wiggles live, I don't know what I would have done.
I needed it.
Needed to see Fruit Salad performed live.
Grumm, when did you find out I went to the Wiggles? This is just across. Why are you stalking?
Wait, I thought you were a Wiggle. I thought you were a Wiggle. I thought you were the English Wiggle. There's 3 that are Australian, and then there's 1 that's English.
The outcast.
He's the he replaced. It used to be 4 Australians, and then Aurorn replaced the one, and
The secret's revealed.
He's been hated ever since.
Yeah.
The original Wiggle fans can't stand for Aurorn. They hate Aurorn, even though Aurorn's significantly better than the guy he replaced.
High praise.
Yeah, that Dave. Dave was a prick.
Big prick. Guy writes one decent song, and then he thinks he's the star. I can't believe him.
Thinks he's the Wiggles.
He thinks, yeah, he is the Wiggles. And no one's coming to see you, Otis.
Fucking Otis.
But yeah, all right. So you animator doing twitch.tv/Shaunningham. That's Shaunningham with 2 N's. Actually, I need to tell people how Aurorn is spelled now that I think about it, because the way I'm saying it, the way it's at least three different spellings as people's hearing right now. They're like, oh, wait, why is Aurorn and Shaunningham so far apart? If it's Aurorn with a O or a U, that doesn't make sense. It's AURORN, and then Shaunningham is twitch.tv/SHAUNNINGHAM.
That U is very important.
They're very important. Otherwise,
no W's or EAs. My goodness.
No.
Not the Irish way.
I was gonna say that'd make you a Celt, and I we're friends already. But if you're Celtic, me and you, we're going. It's it. We're going to war, Shaunningham. We're finding people. We're invading Aurorn before Aurorn leaves the UK. Avenging the losses of generations.
There's a lot to go to war in the UK. There's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, there's a few things added up.
Yeah, it's about time. This is for my Irish brethren. By the way, I don't know if you guys. I saw this video. There's a guy he's on the cliffs in Ireland, and he is screaming across the Atlantic to America, give your citizens its health care. He's just yelling that across the Atlantic. That's good.
What a hero.
What a hero! That's the kind of guy. You know what? If we get healthcare here, universal healthcare,
I'll know why.
We'll know why. It's because that man screamed across the Atlantic, and he heard, and politicians heard the cries of an Irish man being carried over the North Atlantic winds.
Wow. Kind of poetic when you put it like that.
Just imagine some guy's fishing on the beach, and he just hears, "Give us healthcare." Yeah, sure.
What the hell?
The wind picks it up and brings it back, and he's like, "No, damn it! Oh, I thought I read the wind charts right." He's sitting there like a 1400s sailor. He's like, "All right, okay, wind charts. Okay, I think if we take this route, we'll be all right. If I scream here at this time, the message will get heard." Meanwhile, he just get on the internet. Man's relying on nature to help him out.
Yeah, putting it on the internet is screaming into the same void. So
at least he went outside, I guess. I would say he got some sun, but it's Ireland. He didn't get any sun.
Yeah,
he's just got to post the conspiracy on Canon.
I'm being silenced by the Atlantic windways.
Those bloody Democrats.
They're blocking. They put up things to block the wind, which is an absolute thing that people on that side of the aisle have said about putting up wind turbines. That they just steal all the wind and don't it just takes the wind away, and we'll never have wind ever again. And it's that's not how that works.
It's dumb.
It's not how any of this works.
Apparently, we don't want to put up wind turbines because it makes it look ugly. But it's kind of yes, but I want power.
What? That's crazy.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, very windy. Let's make use of that and make renewable energy with the wind that is here. No. It'll make everything look ugly. They're nasty. We can't possibly design wind turbines that would look appealing. No. Can't do that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we're just living the metaverse,
Give us the Dyson Sphere windmills, please.
I think this is the longest it's taken to go from the intros to the second part of the intros, which is me asking about your wrestling experience. So we'll start in reverse. We'll go Shaunningham, you first. Your experience with professional wrestling.
All right, my experience. I know that The Rock is really interested in his cooking. I know that John Cena, you can't see him.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I think it's Randy Savage wants you to snap into a Slim Jim. And I think that's about it.
That's all you need to know, really.
Yeah, you got a lot. All right. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I got caught up because once you're like, like The Rock is really concerned about the cooking, and then you were just like, you can't see John Cena, and I was like, how would I have phrased that? If it, like the whole bit of it, like, The Rock really is interested in his cooking. You lose your sight whenever John Cena's around, like only when he's around you go blind.
He's just blind.
The Macho Man is a drug dealer, but he only sells Slim Jims.
That's it.
That's all I know. That's it. Randy Savage is a drug dealer. The Rock is a chef, and John Cena's a nexus for sight. Like,
yeah, and the Undertaker is a name I know.
That's Don't know anything. It's just a name. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could look like me, and they're like,
that's anyone. Could be anyone.
I'm the Undertaker.
Hair color.
I mean, we do. Shaunningham sees, I'm the Undertaker. Nice to meet you, Mr. Undertaker.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Taker.
All right. So it's good. First name Under, last name Taker.
Yeah.
So that's good. No, that's good. I do enjoy when at least one of my guests doesn't know too much about pro wrestling, because then I can just be like, yeah, perfect. You're going to see some shit you've never seen before, and I have to give you all the context, and it still won't be enough to understand what you saw.
Although I will say that when I was in like elementary school or middle school, one of the two, one of my friends' family was into wrestling, so I played wrestling games.
Okay.
But retained nothing.
Yeah, I feel like that's been the I want to do is I want to go back and like listen to this part of every pod and just take note of the people who have played. They're like, I don't know anything about pro wrestling, but I played the fuck out of those video games because they're dumb fun.
I want to make my monster wrestler.
Yeah, I've made the Ninja I've made the Ninja Turtles. I made Extreme Jesus. I made myself.
That's a real thing, though, isn't it?
Extreme Jesus?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was an actual wrestler.
Yeah, it's Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk.
Wait.
Look, the skateboard. Yeah, Boney. By the way, I saw a tweet that there's somebody like they were talking about how Tony Hawk is is the coolest real life name like that somebody has ever been given, and then. Somebody goes, yeah, but Tony Hawk hated because people, when he was growing up, called him Bony Cock. And I'm like, that is hilarious, but that's also incredibly rough to be like, yeah, people love my name, except when I was a kid, people called me Bony Cock. Like, that's what they
It's another version of saying skinny penis. It's like, it's me, the boy, Bony Cock.
It's me, Bony Cock. I'm about to grind the hell out of this rail. I'm gonna do a Ollie 540 kickflip onto a 50-50 grind, and then we're gonna finish with a Christ air.
Christ.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's your boy, Bony Cock.
It's your boy, Bony Cock.
It's like that would have
smash that like
history books, 100%.
Right. I mean, like, look, like my last name. I've said that it's Grumm. It rhymes with cum. It's
Wait, what?
Grumm rhymes with cum.
That's crazy.
I know, right? It's almost like you only just need the last 3 letters of my 5-letter last name, and you can just turn bum, crumb, cum. Gum. Like when it started, it's like, oh, like gum, ha ha ha. And then, like, as we got older and learned more words, it got worse. Education.
As the vocabulary expanded.
Education is a mistake. Never. It only teaches kids words to make fun of people, with like.
No, the education. No. You don't need to learn. Kids are evil.
Yeah, my worst one was somebody called me Cuttingham, and I was like, "That's all you had, huh?" That's it.
That's all. That's it. Oh boy, like Cuttingham.
That hit deep. Ouch.
Wow. Yeah. Ouch. Like. Yeah, like they're going for the extra long rhyme when there's like ham is right there, so you could just go with any, like just make anything off a ham. But like, no, I have to do the syllable rhyme.
The whole thing.
And it's like, no.
I've had a lot of ones.
What? You had a love?
I had a lot of names for my last name.
Oh boy, yeah. I can.
It had Gayson.
Oh no.
I had it pronounced like my dad gets really pissed off if my last name's pronounced in French.
Which makes you going to fucking learn French. It
is not Casson.
He's gonna
love that.
He's gonna be it's gonna be hilarious when he visits you and you're in Quebec. He's just like, oh, you're Mr. Crow. And you're no.
Reserve as many tables as you can when you go out to eat, so they always have to call on you.
Yeah.
The funniest one that ever happened to me is like Grumm said, "I've invited a British person onto the thingy, so you're gonna hear the C word." Is that when I was in college, I thought I'd heard all the names come through, but then at the end it was like, "Oi, Cunson." I was like, okay.
All right, yeah.
I'm in college now.
Yeah.
Of course, it's got worse.
Which is funny that it took I feel like Britain, like that's just like common word for a 6-year-old to use. Like I just feel like, it's just like also my understanding of British youth is really defined by Misfits, and that's about it. And
right, by TV.
But it's by TV. Yeah. It's by a single television show. And it was literally like, these are terrible human beings who are in juvenile delinquent programs, and they become superheroes. Like they become superpowers.
So this must be what every British person.
Every British person must be like.
Honestly, the main guy, the Irish guy, is. I know a load of people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way he acts, the way he's banter.
That's the thing Go ahead.
It's like it's insane how much I've actually had people be like, people like that. I'm like, yes, this is everywhere. This is just casual shit.
You're talking about the one that is in Game of Thrones too, that plays Ramsay Bolton.
Oh no.
You're talking about. Okay, yeah. All right, I know
the one who's a fucking troll.
Yeah, the one who cannot die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Okay, so I was like sitting there, like that's the thing is I've seen Ramsay Bolton's character I'm like, whoa, it's a guy from Misfits, and people are like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, it's on Hulu, you gotta watch it. It's a great series. And I'm like,
the band?
Yeah, like no. It's what happens if you give juvenile delinquents superpowers. What happens? It's like, oh no, that show's probably terrible. And I'm like, no, it's not. It is absolutely not. It only gets weirder and weirder.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of Brits, Aurorn, what about you? Your experience with professional wrestling?
I've pretty much played nearly all of the games, except for about 2015 onwards, I didn't play any of the games. Because I realized it's basically like FIFA and then like NHL and all that type of stuff. It's the same game coming out over and over again. I watched most of the Attitude Era and all of the Ruthless Aggression Era. Area? Yes, era. And I when it went PG, I kind of fell off. But I still have VHSs of ECW. I didn't watch too much of TNA. I watched some of AEW. I haven't watched any NXT for some reason. But I grew up on wrestling, and I carried on until I was at least 15. And I used to have an Undertaker bag where I used to go to school with it. The big, what is it? The big red devil word.
Oh, big red evil. Yeah.
I had that bag, and it was a good bag.
So meanwhile, Shawning's like, wait, I thought his name was Undertaker. Now he's.
It was just a bunch of words.
Undertaker. I knew that one. I knew. He said Ruthless Aggression Area. I don't know what area that is, but but I don't want to go there.
Is that like your no zone?
Hey girl, you want to get some of my ruthless aggression?
That might get put on a T-shirt as well. It might just say Ruthless Aggression Area and then the arrow pointing down. That's it. Or like it's era, but then like for area at the start of it is like in parentheses.
Wait.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about this. Was the Ruthless Aggression named after one person? Wasn't that based off of Benoit?
No. So Vince McMahon talked about how he needed somebody with a ruthless aggression. And then that's how it became the Ruthless Aggression Era. Was he had a promo where he had everybody in the company around the ring, and he's talking about how he's like, I need somebody to step up. These people are gone. You know, this is a time I need hungry talent. I need somebody who's got that ruthless aggression to step up. And then, like the following SmackDown, Kurt Angle has his his gold medal open challenge, where basically anybody could come and try to wrestle him and survive and whatnot. And that's when they debuted John Cena. And he goes, why do you think you could stand a chance against me, Kurt Angle, Olympic gold medal winner? And he's like, ruthless aggression. And then he slaps the shit out of John Cena slaps the shit out of Kurt Angle. So it's like, okay. And then they just ran from it there.
Okay. Really, I always thought because he was a rabid Wolverine, wasn't he?
He was toothless. He was a rabid Wolverine, and then when they were doing the ruthless, he was toothless aggression. Like that was
just talking about British people.
I mean, yeah, some of you don't have teeth. This is true. This is true. Can confirm. Some British people do not have teeth and are aggressive.
That'll be me in the future.
No, but if it is, it's because you now picked up hockey in Canada, so it's a different toothless aggression.
Oh yeah,
I'm like not even 5'10". I would get fucking destroyed if I go into hockey in Canada.
Dude, 5'10" is tall in hockey standards, man. Like that's I mean, like pro hockey, sure, maybe not, but like. In general, there ain't a lot of... You'll probably be doing, like, beer league hockey. You're probably going to be middle of the road. At worst.
Right now, I'm 60 kilos.
You're going to have to put that in American.
I have no idea what that was. That was nonsense.
The fact is you could...
140 pounds.
All right, so that's not bad. You put on another 20 pounds between the beer and just beer. You'll be fine.
So I was 69 kilos. And I'm 69 inches tall.
I just like how you know the imperial height, but not the imperial weight. You're just I got your American units right here, but you gotta figure out this metric bullshit because I don't.
Okay. Yeah. All right, here's something to fuck you up. I'm 10 stone.
See, but no, I know I know 1 stone is 15 pounds. Don't ask me why I know that.
Yeah, I did not. So to me, that could have been anywhere from 100 to 1,000 pounds.
I had the conversation with Bear one time, and I forget. I think it's in a video that has not yet come out, but we were talking about weight, and we were talking about weight and stone. And I was like, "Yeah, you're probably like 40 stone," and he goes, "What? No, fuck you. I'm not that fat." And I'm like, "I meant to say 14 stone as a joke." But 40 stone is even funnier. Like,
yeah, 40 stone's American standards.
Yeah, that's your That's me. That's being American. But yeah,
like, you like 6'6".
I am 6'7". Yeah,
you're fucking huge, dude.
Yeah, I'm massive. I'm very tall. All right, but it's fun. Okay, so ruthless aggression. And the thing is, like, I knew you're a little younger than me, Aurorn, so I was like, all right, I know Aurorn knows some wrestling. How far back? I don't know.
I can probably go back to like the 80s as well.
Yeah,
watching like YouTube.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, how deep do you go as far? Like, there's one thing to go back, then how expansive is that depth? But it's all right. We have Shaunningham here who doesn't know anything about wrestling, which is good.
Hey.
So at least somebody doesn't know what the fuck we're gonna watch, and I will tell you that in a couple moments. But I have a story to share to provide context. This is the first time telling a story rather than asking questions. Okay. Normally I ask questions to give context to what we're gonna watch. It's kind of hints to be like, oh, this is why he talked about this. But today I have a story. I am a child of divorce. My mom and my dad divorced. It was standard American divorce, which means occasionally I was used as a messenger back and forth. Visited my dad a little bit until he just stopped putting effort into doing that. All that fun stuff. As far as the actual divorce goes, like the process of the divorce, I don't remember much. I just know that they went to a small courthouse, I believe, to like an office to do the conversations. No super lawyers involved and whatnot. So very simple back and forth. I just know that there was a hassle. There was some hassling and whatnot, and like child support and whatnot, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Unlike what we're going to watch today. Because what we're going to watch today is an infamous match involving the custody of a child. Aurorn?
Sure.
Did that ring any bells?
I don't know whether or not you're talking about Dominick.
Yes, I am. All right. So, 2005. The year is 2005. We are going to be watching a ladder match between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio for the custody of Dominick Mysterio.
Okay.
Up to this point, the feud has been a long feud. Going back, or not a long feud, but a long story. Going all the way back before WrestleMania of that year, WrestleMania 21, where Eddie and Rey were tag team champions, but they had this little competitive thing of like, oh, I could beat you. I could beat you. And Rey proved out he was the guy who, was better individually. He beat, Eddie Guerrero in one of the greatest like opening matches of WWE history, or WrestleMania history in my mind.
True.
They would then lose the tag titles. Eddie would blame Rey for losing the tag titles. Eddie would kind of go, "Hey, I gotta tell a story. There's a story I gotta tell." Now, Eddie Guerrero has a history of drug abuse and addiction that almost cost him his career, but he got clean. But in doing so, during being addicted, he made some, mistakes and whatnot, one of which was having an affair outside of his marriage, which resulted in a child.
Okay.
Talked about it in a book that he wrote, that he had an affair outside of his marriage with his wife, Vicky Guerrero, and he had a child. Didn't say who the child was, didn't talk about, the woman he had the affair with, nothing, just said that this is one of the things he did. They decide to use that in storyline to say that he had sexual relations with the mother of Rey Mysterio's children, and that Rey Mysterio's oldest son, Dominick, is actually Eddie Guerrero's father.
Wow.
Fucking
so this is like the Maury Povich episode of a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Yes. It is if Maury was settled things like wrestling does, because they decide that the only way for this to, and they didn't like have a DNA test or anything to be like, nah, like
right.
That's not right, because that cuts out the entire point of this match.
Yeah.
The entire point of the match is, hey, Eddie's right, but I'm your father. And then Eddie would be like, no, Dominick, I'm your poppy. I'm your poppy. He would sell t-shirts that said, I'm your poppy. And they would sell like hotcakes because Eddie Guerrero was just so damn entertaining. He is this scummy dude. He is going to Dominick's like playground to say hi to his son, but he keeps calling himself his Uncle Eddie. But he goes, one day you're not going to call me Uncle Eddie anymore. And that day is going to be after Summerslam when I beat your dad. And, he goes, why do you have to fight my dad? He goes, because your dad has something that belongs to me, and he does not want to give it up without a fight. And it's basically like one of these creepiest, like, but like also just because Eddie Guerrero was just very good at wrestling and very good at professional wrestling in all aspects of it, it just hit different. So what we're going to watch is from SummerSlam 2005. We're going to watch the custody of Dominick Mysterio ladder match, Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. Now, you know how this ends, Aurorn, so you don't get to answer this. But Shaunningham, who do you think wins? Do you think Rey Mysterio wins custody of his child, or do you think Eddie Guerrero wins custody of his child?
Oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna vote that the Mysterios stay together.
All right, okay, all right. Well, we'll find out when we come back here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. Quick break here in the action. Just to let you know, on the Patreon today, the 28th, as this goes up on the main feed, the 28th, today on our Patreon, support.grumm.tv, by the way, is the watch-along to the Sumo Monster Truck match with myself, Slay 3K, and Imperial Jedi. It's on the Patreon there at the Elite tier. But if you don't want to spend $10, you can spend $1, $5. It's there. There's anything in between. Whatever you want to give to us. If you wish to give to this podcast and myself financially, you are more than welcome to do that. Go to support.grumm.tv and you can find all the benefits of stuff. You get early access to episodes. You get early access to videos. I'm behind on a lot of things. It's been a wild start to 2022 for me. A lot more busy than I intended. I hoped it had been, but look, we're all good here, right? We're living, we're breathing, and living, and we're with each other, right? So that's good. If you don't have the funds to do so, that's okay. Continue to support us for free at Dorkside Ring on Twitter and on Instagram. You can also go to Apple Podcasts and you can go to Spotify and leave reviews. They both have a rating system. They both can do up to 5 stars, but Apple also does a review system with, like, words and stuff. So leave a 5-star review, leave a review, write it out, tell the people what you like about the podcast, describe the podcast in your own fun little words. You're more than welcome to. I appreciate it. We here at the Dork Side of the Ring, and by we I mean myself and my computer, appreciate it. And let's get back to the show right here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. So there we go. That was the match. That we're back here on the Dork Side of the Ring. What a experience, huh, Shaunningham? We'll start with you.
I'm exhausted.
Since this is like your real first foray into professional wrestling, really.
Yeah.
Thoughts on first impressions of Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero for custody of Dominick.
I never thought I would see a child case be resolved in the wrestling ring. Really seems like a poor way to handle it. But hey, I'm happy with the results. So
okay. All right.
Also, I hurt physically.
I too am an empath. Yes, I'm an empath. I understand what might be my favorite meme going on is like just the over reliance on like something was like man has a heart attack on a flight. The flight attendant. Do we have a doctor in the house? Me. No, I'm not a doctor, but I am an empath. I feel his pain. Aurorn, first impressions of seeing it upon for the first time, probably in a good couple years.
Yeah, it's coming up to nearly 20 years. Funny as fuck. He's like, fuck Judge Judy.
Like, who needs Judge Judy?
I like the fact that WWE still to this day chooses to take real, especially now since the internet, they have to take real life from these wrestlers and put it into a storyline.
Mm-hmm.
just floors me.
That was so ridiculous.
I
can't imagine being that kid.
I think the last storyline I ever believed from WWE was the Mr. McMahon kid storyline, and when he blew up.
Oh yeah, I can't wait I can't wait for McMahon month. I have I have it scheduled. I'm looking at it right now. The month of August, Vince McMahon's birthday is in August. So on the Dork side of the ring, every August from here on out is going to be McMahon month. Or
so you're playing to his ego.
Yes. So I have 5 weeks this year. Five August weeks. It means there's 5 topics. And I'm like, I'm absolutely doing him blowing up, him dying again, and like probably him versus God, and then him versus Trump.
What?
And then I'm like, and there's so much. I mean, like, there's so much more that he's involved in that I'm just like, yeah, okay. Like, I love how it's like he died twice, fought God, and fought future President Donald Trump.
Wrestling's my favorite anime.
There's like so much that he's done. I'm like, that is just so, it's so wild. Like, I mean, everything WWE does, he's involved with. So technically, every Dork side that has a WWE topic is because of Vince McMahon. But we're doing the ones, the plan is to do when he gets to, he gets actually in the ring and gets involved. We did the one where he was in the hospital. We did one of the ones I wanted to do early though was Austin visiting him in the hospital.
Oh yeah. And
so basically, Shaunningham, imagine a man who is upset with his boss. Okay, very easy, right? His boss does not like him, but but he's a very good worker and he's good to have for the business.
Right, makes him a lot of money.
Okay, yeah. The boss, being an evil boss, strips him of his job title, in this case, the championship, and then ends up, because of the actions of others, at a hospital. So now the boss, in fear of Stone Cold showing up, keeps it a secret, tries to keep it a secret. And somehow, Stone Cold shows up. He comes in disguised as a nurse, and it beats the ever-living fuck out of this old man this elder man, his boss, who has his leg in a cast, his ass out. He hits him with a bedpan, and it makes the most satisfying sound of all time. And it's not like a edited in sound. It is the raw sound of the bedpan hitting his skull.
Oh my god.
Like the best part of all these stories that you're hearing from Grumm, like they're amazing stories, and probably some of the most memorable stories from WWE. They're not even the weirdest.
No. Off
the top of my head, it's Mae Young giving birth to a hand.
Almost did that, because when this episode comes out on the 28th, it would be the 22nd anniversary of Mae Young giving birth to a hand. However,
I don't know what to make of that sentence.
However, I didn't have enough time to go through and get all the footage of all the segments so that it's a concise story. So you get the whole gist of it. But yeah, no.
Sean's gonna come off this and go onto YouTube and be like, "Okay, weirdest wrestling events."
I don't think so.
You're gonna ruin my friggin' YouTube recommended for the next year.
I think Shaunningham's just gonna wait it out and just be like, just knocking on my door. Grumm, let me on again. I wanna be on. Or Shaunningham's gonna be listening to Dorkside, just going like, "Yo, they had a monster truck match on a roof? What?"
Yeah, like. It's very hard to say what are some of the more like is you going for weird or you going for fucked up. You go for fucked up, you go for New Jack. If you're going for weird, it's either Japan or WWE.
I mean, yeah, I haven't even touched DDT Pro.
Really quick.
Yeah.
So that Dominick's actually in real life his kid, right?
Yeah.
Yes. He is actually Rey
Mysterio. How weird.
Yeah, he actual kid. But here's the thing. made sure that his kid got paid.
I'm sure.
like Rey Mysterio has had his kid on multiple times, and he's like, nah, like he's got a booking fee. Now, and
I mean, that's how to do it, I guess.
And like Rey Mysterio, his uncle was a wrestler in Mexico. Rey Mysterio started wrestling when he was like, I think 13, 14.
Okay.
I think, like at least training. I think he made his debut at like 15. He's only like 46. I think he might not even be 46. Let me see. 47. He turned 47 in December, so I'm not too far off. So he's been wrestling for 30 plus years.
Jeez.
Like, he started wrestling.
He's one of the lucky few.
Yeah, he made his debut at age 14.
How does your body not just like collapse after so many years?
I mean, for a time, it looked like it was. He would wrestle for 3 months, be hurt for 6.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Because he'd come back from an injury. This is someone you know, The Undertaker. His title is The. Like, he'd come back for one match, then be out of commission for 6 months, then training for the next 5 months.
Yep.
Like, he was that badly injured. Like, Rey Mysterio was probably one of the biggest stars next to up-and-coming John Cena.
Interesting.
Way back then.
Yeah. Yeah, like, let's see, 2005. So 2005, like, John Cena, Batista are, like, running the top of the heap. Rey Mysterio is by far one of the more popular wrestlers. But because he's 5'6", 160 pounds, you know, he's not standing very tall compared to these 6'5",
Right.
6'6", like, muscle heads.
Giants.
And it wasn't until Eddie Guerrero passed away where, you know, you riding the momentum of, like, Eddie and Rey were best friends. Also, like, everything else having to go sideways, like, Batista got hurt. They didn't trust certain people with the title at the time, so they're like, all right, we're gonna give it. Rey wins he becomes the first man or second. He becomes the longest. He is in the Royal Rumble match, which is a 30-man over the top rope timed battle royal. So basically, every 90 seconds to 2 minutes, somebody comes in the ring, and after all 30 men have entered, whoever's left standing after, you know, the last one standing goes on to WrestleMania and challenges for a world title they're choosing.
Jeez.
He was there for over an hour. I think it was like 62 minutes. 62 minutes, which was a record at the time. I think it's since been broken, but like not by much. And like he got the title, and like he's like, this is for Eddie. They gave him the nice, like, you know, like, you know, they gave him a nice title run because, like, hey, he's, you know, like Eddie's best friend and all this stuff. So it was very much like just riding the momentum, and that's when he finally got his shot. But it took like everything going wrong for it took the champion to get hurt. It took his best friend, one of his best friends, dying, like, to get looked at as a champion. And he's since won, you know, the title a couple more times, and he's got multiple world titles to his name. But I think he's got 2 more titles. He two-time world heavyweight champion and 1-time WWE champion. So it's like he's got titles to his name. He has accolades. He's a fucking absolute first ballot Hall of Famer. But he's you know, he's still, he's 5'6". There's only so much that they're gonna give him.
Vince likes big, sweaty, muscly men.
Yes.
But I think most importantly, though, is he also has custody of his son.
I think that is important, yes. Like, just absolutely insane that he's just like, yeah, no, here's my son who is, as you can see in the second picture I sent, significantly taller than me.
He's so tall.
A full head, like I think he's like 6'1".
Yeah.
Um,
He ate all of his greens growing up.
Yeah, ate his greens and got his genetics from his mom.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's very funny because like Rey Mysterio is shorter than both his son and his daughter.
I mean, kayfabe, they could probably work in it being Eddie Guerrero's son, maybe, just because of like Eddie Guerrero was such like his lineage in wrestling goes back like to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the moves you see in wrestling today would be because of maybe Eddie Guerrero's granddad.
Yep.
Because it doesn't wrestling come from luchadors.
No. So wrestling comes from all over. Like, so Lucha Libre is, something different. That's Lucha. The flea. Lucha Libre and British wrestling and Japanese strong style and American sports entertainment are all like offshoots of just like, combat grappling. Like, like Lucha Libre is born, it literally translates to freedom fighting. The masks hide the identity of the luchadors, which at a time was necessary, but now it's more of like, hey, like, this is tradition. Like British wrestling is very much low on the mat. You don't actually throw punches, you grapple. It's more based in grappling than like, punching. Japanese strong style is very much like brutal. It's very much the opposite, where it's like, I'm gonna punch the shit out you, I'm gonna elbow the fuck out of you, I'm gonna kick you in the goddamn skull, I'm gonna drop you on your neck, I'm gonna drop you everywhere. And then American style is very American. It is very over the top. It is like like even before Vince McMahon took wrestling out of like smoke-filled arenas, wrestling in America is very much like, it's based in the carnival system, which is like, hey, not it's like 50-50. So it's based in carnival, but then there was actual professional wrestling, but it didn't sell very well in the early 1900s. The early 1900s is very sports competitive. It was very much like, we're going to wrestle professionally and, the winner is the toughest guy.
Some wrestling.
Good old wrestling. And then it just died the fuck out because no one wants to see dudes grapple each other for 20 minutes trying to win, right? Meanwhile, at the very same time, the dichotomy, this is where I get in my bag, because I love telling people about the history of pro wrestling from the start, not just like this goofy shit. So the same boxing and American pro wrestling are very much polar opposites in terms of when one is very popular, the other one isn't, except for like the late 80s. That's about it, right? So while boxing is like down, wrestling's going up. Well, then wrestling people get tired of the wrestling because in the early 1900s, because boxing is now fun to watch because dudes are just beating the fuck out of each other and knocking each other out. And wrestling's like, what the fuck can we do? Like, we got to make these things entertaining. So a promoter and a couple guys get together and they're like, what if we like structure this match, right? We'll split the purse, right? We'll split the purse. But let's make this an entertaining fight, because then more people will come and more people will buy tickets. If we make this an entertaining wrestling match, it's back and forth. If we work cooperatively about this, people be more invested in it. It's like, oh yeah, cool, yeah. And then it happened. And they're like, and then boxing started being less fun because boxing, you would just have these unentertaining fights because people weren't, they were either too aggressive and the matches weren't satisfyingly enough, or more likely than not, too defensive. And they didn't want to get caught, so they're not throwing too many fights and punches during the fight. And you go 12 to 15 rounds and 10 total punches are being thrown. So then they take from wrestling. All right, cool. All right. Hey, these legit matches, but like these we get people excited for these matches. Yeah. Hey, punch him in the 5th round and you just go down. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you an extra, $25. Yeah, I'll do that. So that's like the 40s. So then boxing comes back up, wrestling goes back down. Then wrestling becomes more carnivalized. So, hey, you get people who you start getting actual. So you take the idea of like, hey, we're all going to work together, but also we're going to get the crowd involved. We're going to make the crowd think that they are a part of the show. And we're going to get somebody to come out of the crowd and wrestle our guy. And then we'll sell tickets to the next time. And people will think that they'll buy tickets thinking that they can get in the wrestling. And they got a chance, right? Well, the first couple times, you get another wrestler. So rather, you just get another wrestler who's in on it. Or in some territories, in some companies, they had legitimately dudes who would whoop ass. No problem. And look, hey, they would get a legit person from the crowd. And that legit person would get their fucking ass beat. And then they would go back and tell everybody, nah, that guy's tough. I'm like, yeah, he whooped my ass, but he's tough. So
yeah, there was no messing around.
They're like, all right, cool. Like, they want to root for a winner. The wrestling starts coming back up. And then boxing starts coming back up because they have some personality to it, right?
Ali.
You have Ali, but Ali takes the personality he watched from pro wrestling and puts it into boxing. Becomes part of a show. Not only it's not enough. Yeah, he could be, Muhammad Ali and just fuck people up and fight people, but he's also a showman because he knows that
he's got the character
that goes into it. The presentations, entertainment. So now you get these. Now wrestling and boxing are starting to go up at the same time, and then wrestling goes down a little bit in like the late 70s. But then in the 80s, we're both up. We got boxing up. We got, boxing takes a little dip, and then pro wrestling comes up. You got Ric Flair, you got Hulk Hogan, you have these bigger-than-life Dusty Rhodes-type personalities, and then that's when Vince McMahon flips the switch and goes, all right, we're turning the lights on. Because now, we're just going to show entertainment. These are larger-than-life superstars. They're not just wrestlers. They're entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
We're put on shows, and television shows, stories. We don't do matches. We do stories. Whereas other wrestling companies were falling at the wayside because they're still presenting it as a legitimate sport almost. Where it's like, yeah, no, this guy's winning. Well, all right, this guy's a champion because he's the toughest guy. Meanwhile, the way WWE's presenting their product, the biggest guys are the champions. It's not the best wrestler. It's the biggest personality that is. And sure, Arn Anderson could have fought, Hulk Hogan legitimately and probably would have won.
Oh, most definitely.
But
sure,
ain't nobody paying to see Hulk Hogan fight. They're paying to see Hulk Hogan come out, go, what you gonna do, brother? Talk about the vitamin, rip his shirt off, flex, drop the leg.
Slim Jim.
And and that's it, right? And that's when wrestling then goes balls to the wall in terms of we're going to be we're going to be entertaining because other companies are going
full soap opera.
Yep, because other companies are like, if we want to survive and be in business, that's what we got to do. We got to be like that. We need to be entertaining. So gone to the wayside are the dudes with beer guts and regular trunks. We need personalities. Guys like Sting come in. Guys like the Steiners come in. And sure, the Steiners are legitimate badasses, but they also were just they had colorful personalities. They were larger than life. Whereas other wrestlers, like you look at a guy like Arn Anderson, who he's one of the few guys that remained because he was so goddamn good at being a larger than life personality by talking, but he just looks like a regular guy. He was, he was 28 and looked 42. Like, it just is a matter of the evolution of pro wrestling starting, like you said, yes, wrestling, there's a branch of professional wrestling that started in Mexico in Lucha Libre. But until the 90s, Lucha Libre and American pro wrestling don't really cross. And it's not until Eddie Guerrero, Conan, Rey Mysterio, Psychosis, Juventud Guerrero come in, and then they start going on TV and having lucha libre style matches on WCW Nitro that inspires a lot of people going, whoa, I'm not big like the Hulk Hogan, I'm not big like Kevin Nash, but I could be Rey Mysterio, I could be Juventud Guerrero, I could be Eddie Guerrero, I could be these smaller guys who are faster, energetic, and they may not have been the biggest personalities, but their wrestling was their personality.
Right, you're scrappy.
It's not even scrappy. It was just we saw with like Rey Mysterio jumping off of things onto Eddie Guerrero and vice versa. The moves were unlike anything else you saw. You saw these guys going over the top rope out into the like ringside area. You see them jumping off the top rope. You see them flipping and flying, and you're like, this is wild. And then, years later, you get influxes of talent that are like, yeah, I want to do what those guys do, but I also want to involve like other pro wrestling. You get guys like Seth Rollins, who you can see that he's definitely influenced by lucha libre in a lot of his moves, but he's also a fan of pro wrestling. So like he, does quote unquote traditional pro wrestling moves. And you're getting guys now, 10 years after Seth Rollins started wrestling, who watched Japanese pro wrestling and English pro wrestling, and they're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna have these strong style, and I'm gonna be stiffer with my hits, and I'll make them look like they hurt more. And now they're coming, and it's like this beautiful melting pot of pro wrestling, which is good, but the downside is now everybody is doing similar things where nobody's now standing out in the ring.
Yeah.
Mm.
And now it's like, okay, well, now we're going back in time again. Because now it's not enough to just be really good in the ring. Now you need to give me something else. You need to connect. You need to be this larger-than-life personality again.
Just so you know, English pro wrestling before 90s was fucking terrible.
I mean, you say that, but man, like...
Right, no. I hear my dad talk about it, and he's like, I used to watch Big Daddy Haystack.
Yeah!
And I'll be like, okay, I'm going to watch
Big Daddy!
Matches. And he'd be like, so you had giant haystacks and Big Daddy, right?
Yep.
And all they would do is just two giant fat guys who just run into each other.
Yep.
For 10 minutes.
Yep.
Just two fat, or you just be
They
hearing
fucking
slapping
love
of the
that
fat.
shit.
You just be hearing that for 10 minutes.
Big Daddy! Yeah. No, like, you're absolutely right. Like, in hindsight, awful. But do you know what was great about them? They were larger. They were quite literally larger than life.
They were huge, yeah. They
were massive, but it wasn't. They didn't just rely on being fat bastards. They were like, yeah, I'm Big Daddy, like, and I'm giant haystacks. Like, this is, I'm a character. And then you had guys that would come after them, like Steven Regal and Fit Finlay and Dave Taylor and Gentleman Chris Adams. You had these, technically based, incredible minds for like, all right, I'm gonna chain these things together, and you're gonna go, what the fuck? You went from standing and being behind this, having this guy behind you, now you're holding his ankle behind your head, and you're standing and he's on his belly. I don't understand how this.
You're playing Twister all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like, the Brits, they love the tours. They love you go to the fairgrounds for 30 days. It's the same match over and over again.
Yeah, William Regal is probably one of the when you hear him talk about how he grew up doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that. He said, I'm going into it, and then he said, yeah, I did my first ever match. I got the shit kicked out of me because I was new. Like the hazing that you had to go through just to get into it.
Jeez.
Like it's just think about like the kind of like the kind of athletes that we could have had in pro wrestling and characters if it wasn't so gatekept. And I think that's a lot of like, it's very topical for what goes on in the world nowadays in terms of fandoms. But like, it was to the extreme that like, if you wanted to become a pro wrestler in like the 70s,
you had to be huge.
They either had to want you to be a pro wrestler, or you had to like eat shit for years. Like So for an example, like the Pritchards, Bruce and Tom Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard, Tom Pritchard, they both wrestle. They both grew up in Houston. They both enjoyed the Houston pro wrestling, and they both wanted to get involved. So what did they do? They started handing out flyers as a kid. There were kids going around handing flyers out. Then Bruce Pritchard wanted to be, they were like, hey, can you be our ring announcer? Hey, can you be our color commentator? Hey, can you work ticket office? Can you do this? And Tom's like, I want to be a pro wrestler. So he goes into pro wrestling, but they completely ignore that he had been being this thing, and they reset his clock basically. And he's like, all right, cool. And they're like, train me to be a pro wrestler. And they're like, okay. And they beat him for like months. Because that's how it had. Like Hulk Hogan, he went to in Florida Championship Wrestling. He wanted to be a pro wrestler, and the trainer, one of the guys there, Hiro Masuda, took one look out of him, thought he was a pretty boy, broke his fucking leg.
Yep, sure. Sounds like pro wrestling.
And then when Hulk Hogan came back saying, "Hey, I'd like to resume my training," they're like, "Oh, he actually wants to be a pro wrestler." Like, they broke his leg because they're like, nah, this guy don't want to be a pro wrestler. He thinks he wants to be a pro wrestler. We're going to break his leg. Then, like, that's not like it's far off from what happened to a lot of people. Sure, they didn't get their leg broken, but, like, hey, you had to eat shit. You had to get beat up day in and day out until you proved to your quote-unquote trainer that you wanted to be a pro wrestler. And it's like, what the fuck?
Exhausting.
Yeah. Like, it's like, nowadays, it's like, nah, you can't be answer me these questions before you can be a fan of this show or this content. What do you know about the lore? What do you know about the lore of Dark Souls? You can't like Dark Souls. You gotta you gotta know the lore. And it's like,
You've only played the third one, then you can't appreciate it.
Yeah, you can't appreciate, you don't know what really happened. You've never suffered through Dark Souls 2? No, I haven't, but I enjoyed Dark Souls 3 a lot. The fuck?
Yeah, don't ever be intimidated by other people saying that, oh, you never watched the Attitude Era or anything like that. You can watch it and enjoy it anytime you want. Like, I don't watch any of the new wrestling. Maybe I'll watch WrestleMania or Royal Rumble, but the game, like the whole watching the shows is interpersonal. Like, I watch it because of nostalgia. Like, as you know, Rob says, nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
It really is.
And as Grumm said earlier, like, it's all about that you have people coming into it who have been watching it for years and people who haven't been just starting. Did you say that, or did I think about you saying that?
No, I mean, in essence, yeah, I was like, all right, let me go a different way. I started on that path and then decided to go a different path. But yeah. Like, go ahead with your point.
Yeah, just if you want to get into wrestling because you find it funny, go because you find it funny. Don't you like it because of the way you want to like it? To be honest, the whole thing's a meme to me. I can't take anything seriously in it.
And you shouldn't, because it's entertainment. Like, if you're not gonna take, like, so when I say, like, there's wrestling you should take seriously, but it's in the way you take it seriously. Like, I'll take an example, right? Supernatural, incredible series, right? 15 years strong. I took it seriously in the sense that I went along for the story. I sat there, I saw what happened, I enjoyed what happened, or I didn't enjoy what happened, and I just kept watching it because maybe I'm,
fuck that ending.
Right, but, like, the ending, it paid off. It was one of
those...
No,
it didn't for me.
Well, fuck you then. No, I'm kidding.
Here we go.
Fuck you. That was a great ending. No, I'm kidding.
You can't appreciate it.
You can't appreciate it because you didn't like the way the story was told. No.
Fake fan. What a fake fan over here.
Yeah, what a fake fan.
No. The ending was okay. It wasn't as satisfactory as I thought it would be, but it was good enough.
No, and that's the thing is, like,
never seen it.
This is so, like, this goes to where it takes it, like, I'll say take it, like, you can take it too seriously in this manner, where you become obsessed, and not saying you were obsessed, Aurorn, you personally would have liked it to go a different way. That's different than some people are like, no, this is how it should have gone, and it's ruined. I'll use How I Met Your Mother as an example. I don't know if you've seen that, Sean or Aurorn.
A bit of it. I've seen it in the break room at work.
Gotcha.
When I used to work in retail.
So How I Met Your Mother ends, and people are violently upset because of how the show decided to end, right? But if you're paying attention long enough, after 9 years, you kind of know how this story is going to end. They beat around the bush of it. They found ways to continue to tell the same story with adding things as the show kept getting renewed. And people were just so hung up on having this dream where everybody's happy and this and that, and then one thing happens and it's like, oh, it's very clear that was going to happen, and then another thing happens, you're like, oh, that sucks, but then you're going, oh wait, this means this might happen, and it does happen. To me, it's told the story. I enjoyed the story. Simple as that. Some people took it too seriously and they were like, I'm the showrunner, I'm the writer, this is what happens now. Right? And wrestling is very much like that. I sometimes get caught up in that, but I also understand that what I would like to see and how I would like things to be booked is not the same as A, how it is getting booked, and B, how others want it to be booked, because wrestling is a form of entertainment, and entertainment is wholly subjective.
Tell that to the Game of Thrones subreddit.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, right?
No, that just shouldn't. No, that's just there's two things in this world which is wrong. One of them is the way that Game of Thrones ended.
Oh, yep. For sure.
And to wrestling, Undertaker shouldn't have lost to Brock Lesnar to lose his streak.
Oh boy, I tell you right now, you're wrong for that second one.
Oh, no, boy. He should 100% lost to someone who was up and coming.
Okay.
Brock Lesnar was already over.
Okay.
Deep breaths.
Real quick. We can have a longer form on this. But Brock Lesnar defeating The Undertaker, he made more superstars than Undertaker losing the streak could have. He made Seth Rollins a star. He made Roman Reigns a star. He made Drew McIntyre a star. By those three guys defeating Brock Lesnar, two of them at WrestleMania, they became stars. Say if it was Roman that beat Brock, only Roman is made. Brock Lesnar effectively made 3 times as many people by beating The Undertaker than one person beating The Undertaker would have.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
Thank you, John. But no, we'll go with the Game of Thrones one because it's less niche and there might be more people listening that understand it. Like, sure, did everybody hate it? Sure, everybody hated it. Me? I didn't hate it. You know why? I wasn't following the story. I watched just the last season, right? I got in at the very end of I was like, I'm not watching it all. I'm not spending 60 hours watching this show when I might not finish those 60 hours by the time the show is over. So I'm just going to watch it from this moment on, right? Give me that.
That's wild.
And then people, it's very weird because I kind of want to take this idea for every other show, right? We're like, hey, this is the final season. All right, cool. I'm going to watch the final season. Because if you can tell me the story as a fan and I can go watch it and go, all right, cool. That was worth investing in, right? I'll go invest my time into following the story along, right? Like the final season, there's not a real, no real references to the Red Wedding. No, like there's nothing that you need to see to understand what's going on. They do a pretty good job of explaining the Night King and the Whites. They do a great job of explaining why Daenerys is angry at like all these things are very explainable and very easy to understand to me, somebody who only watched the last season. So in a vacuum, the last season, it was fine. You know what? Like people are upset that Arya killed the White Walker, and they're upset that the Order. To me, it makes sense. Y'all gonna do what? Go take the capital, and then go back up to the north, and you're gonna let this man break through and build up his. No, you stop him from advancing. Like, that just makes sense. Okay, they have they have you know, like the Lannisters die, and you're like, oh, wild. That's it. That's how she dies. Yes, not everything needs to be this extravagant death. Sure, should have been a little bit more extravagant, perhaps. But the 8th season is they're trying to pay off so much.
That's the thing.
In such a little time. Like,
here's the thing, that you're missing out the main factor of this.
Yeah.
Most of the people watching, and I won't lie, most of the people watching did watch the old seasons. So not only are they just basically dicking over everyone who watched the old season, they're dicking over the fans of the books, they're dicking over everything, all because they didn't want to do 2 extra seasons. They didn't want to earn more money.
Yeah, they could have done more, but they didn't want to.
They were getting that Disney money. Like,
they weren't.
No, they weren't. Not after that fact, but they absolutely had that lined up for after. So is that their fault for fumbling the bag? Absolutely. But like,
no one cares if they waited another year to go do the Disney stuff and then come back to this. No one would have cared. It'd be like, okay, they're doing this, but at least we're getting our shit done properly. Because they probably watched season 6 and been like, eh.
But how long? Here's the thing: because they were doing a trilogy after, which means they weren't going to be doing Game of Thrones for at least 2.5 years.
That's fine. I would have been fine with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, you're saying that now because the alternative was what you got.
It was bad.
So like there's something where like you'll be sitting there for 3 years because wasn't there a break between 5 and 6 that was an extra long?
Yeah.
So
because I think someone was doing another movie and they couldn't do it because she was they was a main character.
Yeah, so you're looking at what? Probably 4 years between season 4 or season 5 and then season 6. And then
I'm all for delays. Like, you want to delay a show to make it better? Good. You want to delay a game, make it better? Good. Just give me the better product.
I agree. However, at some point, like, think about it this way: Stranger Things. They're on what season? They had 3 seasons, right?
Sure. I haven't seen it.
Neither have I. But like, they're on season 3. They've never said that there won't be a season 4. We're just waiting. Season 3 came out in 2018, I think. Similar to Black Mirror. Black Mirror is doing it a little bit better because they're like, hey, here's a couple seasons. Like, we've produced a couple seasons or episodes. Here you go. They're all part of this season. Like, you know, but like, there's a point where you, especially in entertainment, you fall so far out of the common entertainment ethos that you're just like, well, I guess we're never doing, Stranger Things season 4 because we're waiting for this actor and this is why TV acts in such a way, like regular TV, in that, hey, we need you signed to this. This is your priority. And that's why a lot of people leave shows because they're like, I'm going to go do a movie. Like,
that's the thing though. A lot of the actors didn't mind it. Obviously you have some of the actors being suck-ups, like, what's his face? He played the dwarf. Can't remember his name.
Peter Dinklage.
That's right.
He's a complete suck-up. I don't care what he says. I'll say it to his face. He is a complete suck-up. He's an ass kisser. He's an ass licker. He's going deep in the tank of D&D, being like, they did nothing wrong when nearly everyone else agrees.
I mean, he in his mind, nothing. Why? Because he probably didn't. The other thing is, like, when you're like, oh, the books aren't finished. Like, George R.R. Martin is never putting this last.
Oh
book
no,
out.
Yeah, he's never finished.
Right,
but he's given them the whole story to go along with, and they decided to cut half of it out just so they could do something else with their life. How dare you cut your life, your stuff short, like so you could experience life yourself? They're not entertaining.
How rude.
Whoa, wait a second. Hold on now. We're going to do it. Putting content before people, Aurorn.
Don't tell Rob. I'll be uninvited from Tilly.
I'll make sure you're never involved in any of my projects going forward. No, and like here's the thing. There's a point where it's like, not like you. At that point, they became content. Like it wasn't just like they themselves. It wasn't like they were like, hey, we're tired of doing this show. We want a break from everything. So
But they could have handed it off to someone else.
They absolutely could have, and they probably should have. However,
hey everybody, welcome to the Game of Thrones podcast. We're talking about Game of Thrones.
I'm out of my element because I just know but like no, it's just like wait, but this goes back to wrestling, right? Like so people took Game of Thrones seriously and then they were not paid off for it, right? So now they take it even more serious because they're like, no. What should have happened was they should have went and attacked Cersei first and then gone back, and you should have ended the series with the Night King fight. And it's like, but you would have been disappointed anyways. Like all I ever hear from people is that they didn't like that Bran was the one who walked away who got the Iron Throne, which I was watching. I think it was Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and they predicted that Bran would walk away, would end up on the throne. I think it was.
Yeah, I predicted that.
Like
great theme song for that show.
Oh, it's so great.
When he started going in for his training, I was like, I'm so hyped for Bran. I'm getting all pumped up, and then for like 3 seasons there was like nothing, and then he comes back and he's like, I'm a statue.
Hey, it was all this hype about his magic powers, and then never used any of them.
I was just I'm like, the whole speaking to his dad like through time travel. I was like, where did this go? Like, what?
It wasn't convenient anymore.
Yeah,
it was only a plot device. Now, it would be funny if George R. R. Martin releases the books, everybody reads them, and they're disappointed by the books too, because the book, like the half that they cut out, is worse.
It's
like
even worse, yeah.
That shit would be so funny to me, somebody who was not deeply invested in Game of Thrones, is if George R. R. Martin releases the final book, and the story is half the director cut shit where they cut out the half. That cut shit is worse. It makes zero sense. They're like, yo, why are these dragons doing this? This doesn't make sense. Why do the dragons do this? Why did they have... Wait, the Night King can talk, and the Night King told Arya to kill him. That doesn't make sense. Like, this is the idea if that's what happens would be so funny to me, because it's like, so now we all understand why the last, because they did, like, none of this shit makes sense and none of it's good.
Just imagine he created the books just to be like the ending season. Yeah.
That's it.
He just like completely half-asses the last book, and then he makes like $1 bajillion when he sells it finally, and then just disappears. He disappears the next day.
That's the way to go, man. Put out shit, get your shit hyped up,
get paid, and get
the fuck out of. Get the fuck out of.
I mean, he's 100% going to die before he finishes.
I mean, look, I hope not, just for the fact that there are people who are deeply invested and would like to see what his vision for the story is, and that's great. But at the same time, I don't want the man to kill himself doing it, and like
I don't even seem like he wants to do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like, it's not worth it. Y'all hated half of the shit anyways. Like. Like that's I gave them the blueprint. They cut out half of it. That's the half. Y'all hated that half. Like that's the good shit.
The thing is, they did change a lot, even when they had the book to go by, because obviously you got to fit it to TV.
Correct. Yes.
So I understand that, but let's get off Game of Thrones because this is a wrestling podcast. I feel bad.
We're really down this rabbit hole.
It ain't that much of it's a wrestling podcast as far as I want it to be. It's me with I get my friends on, and we just see where the conversation goes. Like,
okay, I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because, all right, Shaunningham, you know, about MMA, right?
Yes.
You know how badass pretty much nearly all of them. I say nearly all of them are.
Yeah,
like, they can really mess you up.
Yeah, they really beat the crap out of each other.
Okay, in the Attitude Era, there was 2 people that come to mind: Steve Blackman and Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock was in MMA, and he's done a lot of stuff. Steve Blackman never did. He became a bounty hunter.
Yep.
So Grumm,
yes,
because I was just trying to put it into perspective for Sean. Grumm, how far do you think Steve Blackman would have gone?
In MMA?
Yeah. Because hearing the stories about him.
See. So in 2000, I mean, he probably would have been like. He probably wouldn't have been around by the time Chuck Liddell came through and that wave, he probably would have been gone anyways. But he would have been pretty good, I think.
Because here's the story of Steve Blackman. I'm pretty sure he went to the Middle East area to do some wrestling shows. He came back with some sort of gastrointestinal problem where he lost weight and he was on it for 9 months. He lost half of his weight in 9 months. He came back and then begged someone at WWE to come back onto it, right?
Mm-hmm.
While he was really messed up. And even then you had some people Bradshaw, who's, you know who Bradshaw or JBO is, cunt. And then you have some people Hardcore Holly, also a cunt.
Yep.
Who were massive trolls all the way through, and they went to go get in a fight once, and everyone was scared for the other person because Steve Blackman was being me. There's only one other wrestler you'll ever hear who was that badass or more badass, and that's Haku.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about this the other day. I tried having a conversation with Rita about it, and she was there's this whole thing of where I go off and into rants because my brain thinks of something random.
Yeah,
but
that's relatable. Yeah. And
I was thinking to myself, how far would have Steve Blackman gone into MMA? If he was if someone like Ken Shamrock to actually say oh, you don't want to mess with him. That's high praise.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was really. So I was just for a question. I was do you think he would have been pushed to top level if he actually got out of the hardcore?
Probably. Well, so I went to his Wikipedia page, which is one of my favorite things. So Steve Blackman, he began as a competitive bodybuilder, weightlifter before entering pro wrestling in '86, training with Stu Hart's Stampede Wrestling. He made his first appearance for the WWF on a 1988 house show in Watertown, New York. He wrestled David Sammartino. He won. Then appeared on an episode of WWF Superstars and teamed with Outback Jack and Brady Boone against the Islanders and C.V. Offee. He then appeared again where he defeated Iron Mike Sharp, wrestled Boris Zukov in September of '89. He was then considered for a full-time contract with the company when he contracted malaria and dysentery while wrestling in South Africa in '89 and was essentially bedridden for 2 years. After his rest, during which he lost most of his muscle mass, he spent another 4 years in physical therapy to recover and incorporated MMA training, specifically Eskrima and Taekwondo. Once back in working shape, he contacted his friends Brian Pillman and Owen Hart for a new tryout, where he started in '97. I don't think so. I just think he just wasn't personable enough.
He didn't have the
charisma. He didn't have the personality.
I mean, neither did Brock Lesnar. He still doesn't.
Well, not true. You haven't watched lately.
Just true.
Yeah, it used to be. But also, Brock Lesnar was fucking incredibly large. He's 6'5", 310 pounds. That's 3 inches and 70 pounds. Very athletic. He's a very for reference, Sean, Brock Lesnar never played football organized, right? Never played. Left the WWE in 2004, tried out for the Minnesota Vikings, was the last player cut from training camp in the preseason.
Wow.
No experience playing football. And he, not in high school. It's not like he played in high school and then, never in high school. I think he may have played,
he was so big.
He was so big, so strong, and so athletic, he almost played professional football with no experience. He then went to the MMA and beat people the fuck up on just the basis of him being a collegiate wrestler and freak athlete. And he fought people with fucking diverticulitis, not litum, but diverticulitis, which is his own intestines eating themselves, and he was beating people with this sickness
That's insane.
Like, it's insane the kind of freak Brock Lesnar is. That's the difference
Yeah.
between him and
yeah.
Steve Blackman. It's like Steve Blackman's a badass dude, but he looks like a regular guy, and he just
That's
is,
true. I was just thinking, like, because I won't lie, he was probably one of my favorite wrestlers. I don't know why. I think it's because I like the hardcore scene.
Probably.
So
Also,
when I was watching all that,
member of Head Cheese as well. But yeah, all right. Before we're wrapping up here, we talked a lot of Game of Thrones. That's good. It's always good. I don't think I've ever talked Game of Thrones on the Dork side before, though. Who knows? I might talk again. Who knows? But it was just a good conversation.
Yeah.
I like when the conversations have we just go down rabbit holes and figure out how we got there. So before we go, I want some final thoughts on the final wrapping thoughts. Anything you didn't get to talk about the custody battle. Shaunningham, we'll start with you. Final thoughts and takeaways from the custody match.
Oh yeah, I thought it was fascinating. The last thing I expected to see when you asked me to hop on here was a custody battle. I'm curious about what are today's what are today's matches about, right?
Normal shit, championships, beefs, regular people stealing prize possessions. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. Other than that, I mean, I'm glad about how the match turned out. That the family got to stick together. And yeah, I hope the kid's doing okay.
Oh, he is. He's making a lot of money as a wrestler right now. It's good for him. What about you, Aurorn? Final takeaways from Eddie and Rey for fighting for the custody of Dominick.
Fucking WWE story writers, man. I can't. I just can't. I forget how stupid they are.
It was really dumb.
Yeah, simple as that.
But it is some of the most entertaining bullshit I've ever seen, and I love it.
I mean, I was very glued to my seat. I was excited to see who won.
They did their
job.
And
for having no backstory at all, I think says something.
Yeah, no, just the balls to be like, hey, let's do this. And that's where the carnival aspect of wrestling is. It's like, hey, can we just do this? Fuck it, why not?
Sure.
Yeah, I would watch, if you want to watch how stupid it can be, watch the South Park episode on wrestling.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job of pointing it out, basically. That's why I say
points out the absurdity. Yeah.
I mean, it's
is that where I got? Is that where wrestling has implanted itself in my brain? Is that from that episode?
Probably.
Maybe. There's the whole they took his job. They took his job. He's like, you hurt me. And then they just turned and they took his job. They took his job.
It's the Cartman one. That girl had 3,000 abortions.
Yeah. Just absolute bunk. Oh hey, what can I say to make people cheer me and boo that person? I'll say that. Yeah, wrestling is not above doing shit like that at all. This is light work in terms of making things a little too real. But yeah. Aurorn, let the people know one more time where they can find you, what you're working on, stuff like that, causes you want to plug, anything you want to plug in general. The floor is yours.
You can find me at Aurorn. I'll probably be coming back to streaming on multiple platforms with said girlfriend Arisa, future wife, and causes animals. Yeah. For animals. Mm-hmm. Other than that, support Grumm at Patreon at supportgrumm.tv.
Yeah.
And support Shaunningham with his animating.
Oh, thank you.
And everything else. I'm done.
All right.
I just plug everyone else.
Shaunningham, your same stuff, social media stuff, anything you would like to plug and whatnot.
Alrighty.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, you can find me on all the socials at Shaunningham. I mainly use Twitter, and I stream a bunch on Twitch at Shaunningham. Not Shaunningham, just Shaunningham.
Just Shaunningham.
But not just Shaunningham, like
Shaunningham.
Shaunningham, yeah.
Not a Shaunningham, not the Shaunningham.
No.
Just Shaunningham. Like,
first name under, last name taker.
Title D.
Title D. Mr. Undertaker? No. Mr. Undertaker was my father. I'm the Undertaker. Thank you.
Yeah. Call me Mr. Taker, please.
No, Mr. Taker is my father. Call me Under. Thanks, guys, for coming on. It was a good one.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Thank you for having me as well.
Can't wait to have you guys on again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you, Aurorn. Thank you, Shaunningham, for coming on. I appreciate you guys. Go check them out at Sam Prawn. That's PR0N for Aurorn. And at Shaunningham. That's Shaunning with 2 N's. On Twitter. Go check them out. Go give them follows. Do the good stuff. Support them just as you support me. Support them as if they are me. And give them, give them a little bit of your attention. They deserve it. They're good people. That's it for this week's episode. Next week's episode is a good one. It is the Quebecers. I finally get to talk a little bit about the Quebecers. Because I was like, let's do the Mountie. But then I'm like, I'm going to do the Quebecers. Why? Because I have myself a nice tag team of Canadians myself. I've got from Twitch.tv. Again, I've got Twitch.tv's Metric Seconds and MD14. Look, I got the organizer for the Greater Toronto Area Twitch meetup, the Toronto community meetup powered by Twitch, whatever. MD's there. We got Metric Seconds, both Twitch partners, both great guys. We actually fun conversation because we talk a little bit about towards the end. I feel like a little bit about their St. Jude campaigns, and it'd be really great if we can get them to dress up like the Quebecers. Although I feel like we decided not to. I know we said Alex Wright, right? It was Alex Wright. That's right. Yeah, we end up talking about Alex Wright, and that's a good conversation. So that's next week's episode. You can get it early on the Patreon later this week. It might be up by today. If you're listening on the main feed and you're not on Spotify, it'll be up Wednesday or Tuesday. Episode 36 will be there. I'm also getting back in the lab to get some recordings done. So new episodes coming soon. New recordings. I'm going to be nose to the grind, and we're going to be getting back to this. Hopefully this software, like Adobe Audition, just keeps not crashing. That'd be great. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and being a part of this journey as we continue to look at the dorkier side of professional wrestling with people who may or may not be professional wrestling fans. It's always good. Phase 1, like I said, wrapping up. We're getting as many of the people on for the first time to introduce you to them, you, the listener. Me, I've known them for many years now at this point. But then Phase 2 video podcasts are in the future, so keep a lookout on those. I think I've got them figured out to everything I need to do. And, yeah, that's all good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love you guys. Give us follows on Twitter and Instagram at DorksideRing. If you would like to support me and see my shit posting and whatnot, at Grumm, or Grumm.tv is the Discord. You can go to T-Grumm, or I am Grumm on Twitter and Instagram. T-Grumm is the Twitch. I was on Twitch a little bit earlier, and I saw T-Grumm, and I was trying to get Grumm, or I am Grumm. I thought about that, but we're all good there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys next week. We're talking about the Quebecers with MD and Metric Seconds here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast, because they, like me and you, understand that wrestling is at its best when no one is taking it that seriously. I am Grumm, and I will see you guys next week here on Dork Side of the Ring podcast.